guys, welcome back to my channel. This tutorial is going to be how to make a evil eye backless halter top. I hope you guys enjoy. So for this project, you're going to need the color of yarn that you want to use for the base of your halter top. Then you're going to need a white yarn for the eye, and then a color for the eye color. You could use any colors that you want, honestly. And then you're just going to need a black for the eyelashes and also the center of the eye. For this project, I'm just taking my 5mm hook. Then take the yarn that you are using for the base. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be making the halter top first, and then we're going to make the eye design separately and then connect the two together. So I'm just taking my yarn and creating my slip knot. And then I'm going to chain a total that will wrap around the entire front side of my body, so obviously everyone's size will be different. So I did a total of 50 chains. This is going to fit a small to a medium, but obviously measure it to get the size that will fit you the best. So once I have 50, I am going to just prepare for a double crochet, and then I'm going to skip the very first chains in the row that we just completed. So I'm currently through this chain, so that doesn't count. Skipping this one, and then I'm going to the very next chain, and I'm going to be wrapping the yarn around the hook, going into the second chain. I'm going to yarn over, pull through, so I'll have 3 loops left on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's going to be a double crochet. Then I'm just going to repeat that process for every single chain in this row. So I'm going to be placing 1 double crochet in every chain. So now that I have placed 1 double crochet in every chain, I am going to be just chaining 2 to begin the next row, flipping over my work, and then placing my first double crochet in the very first chain. So not the chain that the chain 2 is coming out of, but the very next chain is your first chain of the row. So I am going to be just placing double crochet in every chain once again. So I'm going to do 1 more row. It depends how long you want your halter top to be. So for example, if you want it to come down a little bit past your belly button, I would suggest to do 3 rows of just plain double crochets. I'm only going to do 1 more row of plain double crochets before I start decreasing my top, so it is going to be a little bit shorter on me. I'm just going to be placing 1 double crochet in every chain, and I'm going to come back once I've finished. So now that I have my second row of double crochets completed, I am just going to chain 1, flip over my work. Now I'm going to be doing rows of single crochets from now on, just so that it has a little bit more coverage towards the top of the halter top. So now I'm just going to go into the very next chain. I'm not wrapping yarn. Just going straight through the very first chain, yarn over, pull through. I'll have 2 left on my hook, yarn over, pull through those 2. So that is a single crochet. I'm just going to go through this entire row, placing 1 single crochet in every chain. So now I have my first row of single crochets completed. Now I am going to beginning to skip chains. So I'm going to chain 1, flip over my work, then I'm going to go through the very first chain with my hook, pull yarn through, then I'm going to place my hook through the very next chain, then I'm going to pull yarn through. So I am currently going through 2 chains and I have 3 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over and then pull that through all 3. So that is how I'm going to be decreasing chains. I'm only going to be decreasing 1 chain at the very beginning and 1 chain at the very end. So I'm going to do this for the this row and then the next row, so I'm going to do it for 2 rows, and then I'm going to just do a regular row after that without decreasing. But yeah, so once you have the first decrease, then you're just going to be placing 1 single crochet in every chain until you reach the second to last chain of the row where you're going to decrease. So I'm just going to crochet down along till I reach the end. So now I've reached the end of the row and I'm at the very last 2 chains, so I'm going to repeat that decreasing pattern, but placing my yarn through the hook, pulling yarn through, then going through the very last chain, pulling yarn through, and then pulling yarn through all 3 of those. So then I'm just going to chain 1, continue with that decreasing pattern, so go through the very first chain, pull yarn through, go through the second chain, pull yarn through, then pull yarn through all 3 chains on your hook. So then just place 1 single crochet in every chain until you reach the second to last chain at the end of this row where we're going to be decreasing 1 more time. So the last 2 chains of the row I'm going to be decreasing. So then for the very next row I am not going to be decreasing. I'm going to chain 1, flip it over, place 1 single crochet in every chain. And then continue until you finish this row. I'm going to do 1 more row where I am not decreasing, chain 1. So far I did 2 rows of decrease, and then I'm going to do 2 rows of regular single crochets. So now I'm going to add 2 rows of decreases, so chain 1, flip over your work, do 1 decrease, and then continue along the row with regular single crochets, and then stop at the second to last chain and add 1 more decrease. So now I have flipped it over, chained 1, I'm going to continue this next row of decreases. And then continue 1 single crochet in every chain, and then decrease on the second to last chain of this row. So once I finish that row, I'm just going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do 2 regular rows without decreasing. So I'm just going to be placing 1 single crochet in every chain, and then I'm just going to kind of skip ahead for these next 2 rows, and then I'm going to come back once I am finished. So I just finished the 2 basic rows of single crochets, and then I decided I probably will do like maybe 4 more rows of basic single crochets without decreasing, just so that it has more coverage. I am going to do 4 more rows of basic single crochets without decreasing. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do these 4 more rows and then come back once I've finished. So now I've finished the 4 rows of regular single crochets, and now I am past the part of my bust that I need extra coverage for. So now for the remainder of the halter top, I'm going to be decreasing every single row until I reach kind of the top of my neck area. So it really depends also on your size. When I did my initial row, it kind of was able to wrap around the front part of my body a little bit, so that when I decrease, it's not going into my bust area very much. So just keep that in mind. I wish I could do a better job of explaining exactly what to do for each individual size, but this is what I'm doing for my size, and again, it'll fit a small to medium depending on how large your bust is. So I hope that helps. So now for the next row, I'm going to be chaining 1, and I'm going to be decreasing the very first and the very last chain in every row. Since I already kind of showed how to decrease each row, I am just going to be skipping through this, but I'll probably do 3 more rows of this and then I'll come back and show you what I'm doing next. So now that I've finished the 3 rows of decreases, I am going to be going back into doing double crochets. I have completely covered the bust portion of the halter top in single crochets, so it has a little bit more coverage. Now I kind of like the looser chains, so I am going to finish the top with double crochets. So I'm just going to chain 2, flip over my work. So I'm just going to yarn over, go through the very first chain with my hook, pull yarn through, then go straight through the very next chain, pull yarn through. So you will have a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll have a total of 4 chains on your hook. Then I'm just going to pull through the first 2 and then pull through the last 3. So that's how I do a decrease with double crochets. So then I am just going to go through double crochet in every chain until I reach the second to last chain. Then I'm going to do that same decrease double crochet pattern. So then I'm just going to continue the remainder of the top with this pattern. So just continue until you reach high enough on your neck. Let's see, I'll check in probably in the next 3 rows. So I'm just going to be continuing this pattern for the next 3 rows. So I completed the next 3 rows. This is what it should start to look like. So I'm just going to probably continue for another 2 or 3 rows. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows total. So now I'm just going to continue this same thread. I'm not going to cut and tie. I'm going to work along the edge just to kind of like level it off. It's a little bit like wonky. So all I'm going to do is kind of pick random chains to go through. So I'm just going to be doing single crochets through these. So if you wanted to cut and tie and use a different color thread, you can definitely do that. I am just going to make my halter top all one color, but it is really up to you. So just kind of go along. There's really no right way to do this. You're just creating a nice edging. So really wherever my hook is falling, I am placing my edging. Ooh, that was too big. So once you've reached the bottom, then you could either continue chaining to make your strap, or you can just make an edge along the bottom. It's really up to you. I am probably just going to be making my strap a basic chain, which is what I'm gonna do. I'll probably do about 50 to 60 chains, and then I'm going to reattach my thread back to the top, make my way down, and then make my other straps. So now that I have the 2 bottom straps finished, I am just going to do the same exact thing to the top. So I'm just going to thread through, string, tie it with a double knot, and then chain my 2 top straps. So I'm just gonna finish these real fast, and then I'm gonna get started on the eye shape. So I'm just taking my black yarn and creating a slip stitch. Then we're going to be creating a small circle chain, so I'm going to be chaining 2, then going right back through the very first chain. Place a single crochet, and then I'm going to be going right back through. So we just created like a small ring. I'm going to be going through the circle of the ring and placing single crochets. So I placed a total of 11 single crochets in the ring. Then I'm going to go through the top of the first single crochet that we created, and I'm going to connect that with a slip stitch. Then I'm going to pull the ring tightly to close the gap. I know the black yarn is kind of hard to see, but so then I'm just going to chain 1. I'm going to be doing one more ring of black for the pupil. Depends how like dilated you want your pupil to be. I'm just gonna do one more row, so I'm just gonna place my hook through the very first chain, place 1 single crochet. The very next chain is gonna get 2 single crochets in the same chain. The next one is going to get 1. The next one is going to get 2. The next one, 1. And then continue that pattern until you reach the end of the circle. So now I've reached the end of my circle, and I am going to just be connecting it with a slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet that we made. Now I am going to cut the yarn, leave a pretty long tail that you can weave in later. Then you're just going to yarn over, pull through, and then pull it tightly, and that will knot your circle so that it doesn't unravel. So then we're going to be adding our next color. I think I want to go with something bright. I'll probably just use this kind of like orange color. If you want to like make it an actual eye color, you can with green. But whatever you think looks the best. I'm going to do orange. So just take the next yarn that you're going to use, and then really you can start on any chain that you want. You don't have to start on the chain that you tied off. I'm just going to thread my yarn through a random chain. Then I'm going to tie it with a double knot. I'm leaving a pretty long tail just so I have extra that I can thread in later. Then I'm just going to yarn over, pull through the loop. Then I'm just going to be doing another row of single crochets. So I'm going to chain 1, go through the very next chain in the row, place a single crochet. The chain after gets 2 single crochets in the same chain. Chain after gets 1. Chain after gets 2. So continue that until you finish this row. So once you've made your way around the circle, just connect it to the top of the first chain 1 with a slip stitch. Chain 1, do 1 more row, or if you want the color part to be really big, or if you even want to add a few different colors to your eye color. It's totally up to you. This is just what I'm doing, so I'm chaining 1, going through the very first chain, placing a single crochet, and then continuing the 2-1-2-1 pattern. So I'm connecting my ring together with a slip stitch at the very top of the first single crochet. Then again, I'm going to leave kind of a long tail. I'm just going to yarn over, pull through, and then pull it tightly to create a little knot. Then I'm going to be taking my white yarn. This is also a weight for cotton yarn. I'm going to be adding it anywhere along the circle. Place my hook through a random chain. Pull my yarn through, tie it with a double knot. Put your hook through the same chain that you just tied your knot, yarn over and pull through. Now we are going to be starting on the white of the eye. So instead of doing a circle, we're going to want to make it more into a almond shape. So what I'm going to do is chain 1. Then I'm going to be going in the next chain, placing 1 single crochet, the next chain 1 single crochet, the next chain 1 single crochet, so then I'm going to prepare for a half double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, go through the 4th chain, place a half double crochet, so pull yarn through all 3 loops on the hook. I'm going to do 1 more of those in the very next chain. And I'm going to prepare for a double crochet. I'm going to be placing 1 double crochet in the next, so you'll have 1 double crochet, 1 in the next, each of the next 4 chains. Sorry, I'm kind of figuring out this pattern as I go right now. So then I'm going to be doing a triple crochet. So I am wrapping the yarn around the hook, going through the very next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So that should be the very corner of the eye. So then I'm going to prepare for a double crochet, place 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 chains. Now I'm placing a half double crochet in the first chain, in the very next chain 1 half double crochet. Then I'm going to be going back to single crochets. So I'm going to single crochet 1, the next chain 1 single crochet, the next chain 1 single crochet, the next chain 1 single crochet. So I'm kind of just single crocheting my way back over to the other side, the next chain 1 single crochet, the next chain 1 single crochet, and the next chain 1 single crochet. Now I'm going to be preparing for a half double crochet, going through the next chain 1 half double crochet, the next chain 1 half double crochet, the next chain 1 half double crochet. Then I'm going to be placing a double crochet in the very next chain. Again, in the next chain, 1 double crochet. Then in the very next chain, I know it's not going to be even, but I am going to be placing a triple crochet in the next chain. Then back to a double crochet. Then I'm going to be placing half double crochets in the next 3 chains to finish the circle. Then I'm going to connect it to the top of the first single crochet with a slip stitch. So that is the first row. I am going to be doing one more row. Chain 1. You're going to be placing a single crochet, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 single crochet in the first 5 rows, 5 chains I mean. Prepare for a half double crochet. 1, 2, 3. So 1 half double crochet in each of the next 3 chains. Prepare for a double crochet. 1. So just 1 double crochet. Then I'm going to be placing a triple crochet in the very next chain. So 1 triple crochet, back to double crochet, 1, 2, 3. So 3 double crochets. Then I'm going to be going back to half double crochets, 1 in each chain. So for the next one, so 2 chains. Then I'm going to go back to single crochets, 1 in each of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 chains. Then I'm gonna go to half double crochets. So 1 in each of the next 1, 2, 3 chains. Then I'm going to double crochets. So 1, 2. Then I'm going to be doing 1 triple crochet. Then back to double crochets. 1, 2, 3. So I have 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 chains. Actually, why is there a loop there? I think I skipped one in the row beneath, so I'm going to be placing 2 of my double crochets in the same chain. If you have any spaces, feel free to fill that in as needed. So then I'm going to go back to half double crochets. So 1, 2, then I'm just going to go back to single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and then that completes the second row. And I'm going to connect it to the top with, so it depends how large you want your eyeball to be. I'm probably gonna do one more row. So as you can see, I'm just gonna include this whole clip of how I'm making the eye. There's no real pattern to it, and I really wish there was, that I can be a better crochet like tutorial giver, but this is all I'm going to be doing. So if you don't feel comfortable figuring out a pattern for that yourself, go ahead and just stop there. This is a pretty decent size eye for the top. I'm just gonna go figure out one more row. So I am just gonna go ahead and show you what I did for the very next row, just because it did get a little bit more complicated. I am adding stitches per chain just to increase and make the turn so that there's no spaces. So I already did one side, so from the very first chain 1 and then single crochets, you're going to be placing 1 single crochet in each chain for about the next 4 chains when you first start. Then I'm going to prepare for a half double crochet, place 1 half double crochet in each of the next 3 chains. Then I'm going to prepare for a double crochet, place 2 double crochets in the very next chain, then place 2 double crochets in the very next chain. So I did have to increase to make the turn on the very next row, so I didn't want to just say, hey, if you want to make another row, and then have no instruction on how to do it. So then in the very next chain I am placing a triple crochet. Then in that same exact chain I'm placing a double crochet. So you're going to have a triple crochet and a double crochet in the very same chain. Then in the very next chain I am placing 2 double crochets. And then in the very next chain after that I'm placing a half double crochet. And then 1 more half double crochet in the very next chain. Then I'm going back to placing 1 single crochet in each chain. So then you would just continue that pattern on the other side. That is the end of the row for me because I already did the other side. Connect your row together with a slip stitch. So that is optional if you want to make your eye bigger. That is what I did for the third row. So then all I'm going to do is just cut, leave kind of a long tail on that, yarn over, pull through, pull it tightly to knot it. So now I'm going to make kind of like eyelashes on the eye, so I'm going to take my black yarn again, and I'm kind of just going to go through any, it really doesn't matter what chain you go through, to be honest. So I'm just going to thread my yarn, make a double knot, go back through the same chain you just tied your knot in, yarn over, pull through. So now I'm going to chain 1, go through the very next chain, place a single crochet. Then I'm going to chain 2, go through the very next chain, place a single crochet, chain 1, prepare for a double crochet, go into the very next chain, place 2 double crochets, then go right back through the very next chain, place a single crochet, chain 2, go through the very next chain, place a single crochet, chain 2, prepare for a double crochet, go through the next chain, place 2 double crochets in the same chain. So I'm repeating that process, kind of making a little bit of a squiggly line. So that's all I'm doing for this pattern. So now once I've reached the kind of edge of the eye, I'm only going to be placing single crochets, one in each chain, until I reach the other side of the eye, so that the kind of like big eyelashes part is only on the top of the eye. I'm basically at the halfway point. I'm just going to continue that pattern. Start by chaining 2, going through the very next chain, placing a single crochet, chain 2, go through the very next chain, place 2 double crochets in the same chain, go through the very next chain with just a single crochet, then repeat that, chain 2, go through the next. So once I'm back to the beginning of the circle of eyelashes, I'm just going to chain 2 and then connect it to the top of the first single crochet. So then that is it for the eyeball. Now I'm just going to cut, yarn over, pull through, tighten it. I'm going to weave all of these strings in. Now to connect it to my halter top, you have a few different options of doing this. I am just going to use a needle and thread, and I'm going to hand sew it together. If you want to connect it with your yarn and hook, it will be a little bit more bulky and a little bit harder to do. You can also glue it down with a fabric glue. Honestly, it's up to you. So that is it for the tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching, and of course if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments.